Happy Monday, class. I hope you enjoyed your weekend. The weather was beautiful. I know I enjoyed it. I got outside, built a raised garden. So I'm hoping you're enjoying the weather. You guys are 5 weeks into distance learning, halfway done with the quarter. We are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We've only got 5 weeks left after this. So pat yourselves on the back. You guys have done a great job so far. Most of you have everything in and put some work in and effort into your assignments. So good job. So last week we talked about carrying capacity, and just a quick review of that. Carrying capacity is that line or that capacity to hold a certain amount of organisms, right? If you go past that carrying capacity, something has to give to get the population below that carrying capacity. So that could be a virus, that could be not enough food, so starvation, things like that, right? There's not enough energy past that carrying capacity to have all of those organisms, or enough for that population at least of organisms. So something has to give. That could be a virus, that could be starvation, right? So quick review on carrying capacity. This week, your assignment is going to be like a mini project. It's not going to be huge, but you are going to have to write a story and come up with a few pictures. That might sound daunting right now, but don't worry too much. I'm going to explain it as best I can here. So it is going to be due on Thursday this week. It's going to be your project pretty much for the whole week. I don't know if you've heard, but Friday of this week and Monday of next week are not school days. So our work isn't going to be due until Thursday this week. So I'm not assigning anything on Wednesday. You could get this done today and turn it in and be done for the whole week. It is a little bit more work than the assignments we've done, and that's why I'm giving you more time to work on it. So you can get it all done today. You can take a few days to work on it, but it's due on Thursday. Okay. So here is what our project looks like here. So you're going to be writing a food wrap, but it's really just a story. And let's just go through the background here. So background. How does energy flow through the living things in nature? Look at the concepts: food chain, food web, food pyramid. Each illustrates how the energy from the sun flows. This is kind of like a big culmination of what we've been talking about since we've gone online with distance learning, right? We've talked about how energy flows. We're going to incorporate carrying capacity. We're going to talk about different types of players in our ecosystem. So you're going to write a story that kind of ties everything we've done together here. So what is the purpose of this, you might ask? Well, in this activity, you're going to be using examples from nature to show how energy flows through living things by illustrating a food web. Simply, you're going to be writing a story that traces the flow of energy through a forest, and you're going to make it creative. Your characters may be animals that talk, things like that. So let's go through the procedure here. So, procedure 1. Create a story that traces the flow of energy through a forest. You may assign personalities to any of the organisms in your story. Bring them to life in your story. Remember, sometimes nature is not pretty. As a matter of fact, usually it shows no mercy. So I want you to create a story with your animals having personalities, or it doesn't have to be animals, your organisms having personalities. It's a story, right? It's got to be engaging. Stories have plots. Stories have climaxes, resolving actions. I want it overall to be interesting. Don't just write down super boring, matter-of-fact sentences. That's not what we're doing. We're creating a story that people want to read. Okay? Interesting, creative story. Doesn't have to be like a super bright and sunny children's book where everyone's happy and no one dies, anything like that. It's about nature, right? Nature usually doesn't show any mercy, right? Cute, lovable things get killed and eaten in nature every single day. So you don't have to make it super nice and friendly. But make it interesting, right? It's a story. It's not a linear. It's not just boring facts written out in sentences. You have to include the facts, but you got to make it interesting. Second part of the procedure. In this activity, there are some words that you need to use. The terms are sun, producers, consumers, prey, predator, or herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, scavengers, energy, decomposers, food web, food chain, and carrying capacity. When you use these words, you need to bold them in your story. So, in your story, you need to include each of these words here in number 2. Every single one of them need to be in your story. When you use them, highlight the word, right? Highlight the word and then go up to the B here to bold them. So if you don't have every single word in your story, you will not get the full points. If they are not bolded, I may miss them, okay? So to make it easier for me and easiest for you, highlight these words when you use them, bold them. You need to use all the words. Okay, third part of the story, you must have all the terms listed in number 2. You must also contain 4 pictures. Now, these must be handwritten and beautiful and just like Vincent van Gogh or Picasso would do. I'm just kidding, okay? You can find pictures on the internet, include them. Down here is where you're going to include your pictures that you find. You can draw them if you want to draw them like Pablo Picasso and somehow show me that you've done that. Maybe you send me a picture or scan them in. I don't know. If you want to get really creative with this, be my guest. I'd love to see your drawings and stuff. But given that we are doing everything in the distance learning style, you can include 4 pictures down here. So to write your story, you're going to write your title right here where it says title. Each of you are going to have one of these. Delete the title, write your title, and then write the body of your story, okay? Now, you can't just chain these words together to make the shortest possible story ever, where you're like, I'm a cow herbivore, and I eat producers making me a consumer. You can't just have every single word in one sentence. A good rule of thumb, well, first let's go back. I'm going to get like a million emails asking me how long this story has to be. I'm not giving you any specifics on that, okay? It could be super long. It could be relatively short. But you can't just chain the words together to make like a one-sentence story. So a good rule of thumb, each of these terms should be at least 1 sentence long that you include them in. You probably shouldn't include too many of these together, okay? Like I said, no chaining these together to make it a super short rush through this story, okay? You need to take your time, make a good story. I'm giving you a full week on this. This is our only assignment for the week, so I want you to put your time in on this, okay? So at least a sentence for each of these terms. Use paragraphs, right? You guys are 7th graders. Make an interesting, good story, okay? So, like I was saying, this is the only assignment for the week. You can get it done today and turn it in, and I'll get it graded quickly, or you can spend the full 4 days to get it done. That's great too. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. That's usually the easiest way to get a hold of me. I hope you have a great rest of your week.